That's better, isn't it? Right, okay, thanks for that, Dave. Yeah, so Dave built me up just before I came on, and he said, Steve, right, I need to know when you're going to go on, because basically we put on the funny people, and then we put on the people that might not be funny, and then we finish off with the funny people. And he said, so you're in the middle. Thanks, Dave. But I knew Dave before, because I had said he was a doctor, and when I first met him, I went in there and I had a bit of, you know, that thing you get when you get a bit older as a fella, the old rear end starts to get a little bit delicate and stuff like that. I went into him and I said, can you maybe check me out? He said, actually, Steve, being a doctor and a comedian, I like to try and cheer up my patients before I do any sort of invasive check-in or anything like that. He said, so if you don't mind, I'm going to sing a little song to you. So I dropped my trousers and he went, one finger, one thumb, keep moving. So that kind of really puts your edge, doesn't it? So a bit of a theme tonight is about the no wrong path. You know, there's been a bit in the media about no wrong path. So can I just get a show of hands of people who have done the same job and the same career since they left school or left university? Okay, I'm taking a guess, well engineer, finance and a teacher. Perfect. Anybody who's, I'm assuming the rest of you have then moved around quite a bit, just trying different things until you find out what works. Well, I'm very similar like that. And one of the things is, now I'm 60, turned 60 recently, so I forget things. So I have actually written down what I'm going to talk about because I need it. So apologies for that, but it's just to prompt me. So I've had a few jobs, and I started off life when I left school. I got an apprenticeship, as everybody does at that time. So I was a mechanic, and I got covered in shit. Then I joined BT for 10 years, where there were customers that treated you like shit. And now I work in the oil and gas industry, any energy industry, with contracts and procurement and commercial stuff, which is sorting out shit. So that's kind of common theme of what I do. So just to let you know, you've met the family, that's my family, and you've met my work colleagues. To say I'm under pressure is unbelievable, so I'm really glad I made these notes. Now my wife is a school teacher, but on that no wrong path, if she had changed her mind, I think that women would make very good archaeologists, because they can dig up some historical shit, can't they? Oh, there we go, that's the mic going. So yeah, in between being a mechanic and working for BT, I got a job making advent calendars in a factory. And there are 3 types of main advent calendars that you can get. The first one is the traditional one, where you open up on each day of December and you get a chocolate. And then there's a Tory advent calendar, which you just leave it on the shelf and let your parents open the doors for you. We're getting there. And then, and the third one is the Jehovah's Witness advent calendar. And that means you can open up all the doors and they'll all tell you to fuck off. So then I thought, I'll get a job, I'm going to join the circus. So I said to my mum and dad, I'm off to join the circus. And they was like, well, when are you going to join the circus? I think because I might need it when I'm doing a comedy gig sometimes. So I'll get started that. So I went up to the circus, met the ringmaster, and he said, what job do you want to do? I said, well, I don't mind, I'm good with animals. He said, right, we can make you a lion tamer. So I said, blimey, what do I have to do for that? And he said, it's quite easy. We bring a lion in, obviously, because you're a lion tamer. And you have to just make it do some tricks. And every now and again, you might piss it off a bit, but don't worry, we'll be there with you. I said, but what do I do if I start to annoy it? And he said, well, the thing is, you've got a chair and you've got a whip. So if the lion starts to come towards you, you give a shake of the chair and a crack of the whip, and maybe shout at him or something like that. I said, okay, what if he keeps still coming at me? So then you've got to take a real stance, good shake of the chair, good crack of the whip. I said, what happens if he still comes towards me? He said, right, you lean down behind yourself, pick up a lump of shit and throw it in the face. So what if there isn't a lump of shit? There will be. So that was where I also met some of my mates, and I've got a few mates still. First one was Twix, so I've introduced Twix the last time I was out. And Twix is someone who's pretty negative, and he gives everything 2 fingers no matter what the idea is, so we call him Twix. I'll give you a minute. But anyway, there was and we got our mate Crossword, and people think, is he like really good at cryptic clues and stuff like that? I said, no, he's called Crossword because everyone who meets him wants to fill him in. And we've got another mate, Opium, and he's just called Opium because he's a slow-working dope. And then we've got Caniston, who's quite annoying. I probably don't need to explain that, but he is quite irritating. So we call him Caniston. And then I've got my mate Donkey, for obvious reasons. We get along being Donkey. We've got some things in common, but I won't go into that. So one of the good things about Donkey, he's so well endowed that he doesn't have to buy a sports car, if you know what I mean. So that's quite good. Other than that, I was driving a van for a company that sold fluorescent condoms. And like you do, if you're driving a van for a company, you think, I wonder whatever I'm carrying, I might give that a go. So got some of these fluorescent condoms. And I thought, well, I'll give them a try. So had a good word with a good lady, and I said, look, we need to try these. Anyway, what I found out, they're useless as condoms, but they're really good in the dark nights because you can get under the quilt, put them on, and you can read a book. And while I was driving that, my wife used to say to me, like, so I went in one day and I said, I'm really not feeling well. She said, right, in the van. I said, what? So I'm really not feeling well. She said, in the van. I said, I can't do anything. I think I'm going to die in the van. So I said, why have I got to get in the van? And she said, well, I've seen your contract of employment and I get 3 times salary if you die at work. So get in the van. It's funny, I just start to tail in towards the end. I also got a wee job teaching Spanish to young children. And I lost the job because there was a young 4-year-old who couldn't say please. And that's poor for 4, isn't it? So finally, I tried to put it all together and I got a job with CHC Helicopters based in Dice, and it was like a mix of being a mechanic, putting up with customers and doing some commercial stuff. And that's where I met my good friend Jean-Claude, the French fatter palate. Oh. So I said, Jean-Claude, how long have you been flying helicopters? Steve, I have flown helicopters for many years, but before that I was a French fatter palate. I said, all right, that must have been quite a dangerous job. It was very dangerous, and I met lots of nice women. I said, okay, you'd like to share some of that visit? Well, there was this one lady, and I met her in a bar, and I said, you are very pretty. I want to go take you back to my place and make love to you. Oh, Jean-Claude, you're so sexy. I know. Took her back to his room, and he said, I want to kiss you on the neck. So he got a small bit of champagne, and he put it on the side of her neck. Jean-Claude, what are you doing? I'm Jean-Claude, the French fatter palate. When I kiss the neck, I taste champagne. Oh, Jean-Claude, you're so sexy. No. So then he says, right, he starts to work on her, and he starts to bring her top down, and he gets to her nipples. So he gets to this little bit of champagne, and he puts it around her nipples, and starts to Jean-Claude, what are you doing? I'm Jean-Claude, the French fatter palate. When I kiss the nipple, I taste champagne. Oh, Jean-Claude, you're so sexy. I know. So anyway, he starts to work his way down and gets to her navel. Out comes the champagne, fills up her navel, belly button with champagne. Jean-Claude, what are you doing? I'm Jean-Claude, the French fatter palate. When I kiss the navel, I taste champagne. Oh, Jean-Claude, you're so sexy. I know. He said, then I work and I take it down a little bit further. And then I get to the Jack and Danny. Oh, Jean-Claude, what are you doing? And he leans back and he gets some airplane fuel, pours it over a Jack and Danny, sets light to it, goes up in flames. Jean-Claude, what are you doing? I'm Jean-Claude, the French fatter palate. When I go down in flames. Thank you.